Alright, yo, what is up, YouTube? It is K right here. I'm back with another good video for Mr. Gervonta Tank Davis defeating uh, Mario Barrios as of last night via 11th round TKO victory for the 140-pound WBA regular world title. Gervonta Davis definitely did his thing. He dominated and destroyed Mario Barrios. I thought Mario Barrios did a very good job. He just needed to work on certain skills and certain how should I say like certain, you know, I would say methods to, attack at the right time to break down Barrios. But eventually, he did everything right. He used his jabs to the body, and he made Barrios look very average. It seemed more of like a fight where Tank was just at his best, and Barrios, he wasn't really able to even try to stun Gervonta. Yeah, he gave Gervonta some really mean shots, but Gervonta weathered the storm, and he just walked, Barrios down, made him look basic, and it just felt like honestly, it felt like an assault. And, I personally thought that fight alone was pretty good. I definitely give Gervonta a good 9.5 out of 10. He could have done better off of the trades, but I think that's what Tank wanted to do because he wasn't feeling Barrios' punches. But still, you don't want to do that because he could easily get caught and easily get knocked out. But I think Gervonta is just literally built different to a particular level where he doesn't care, what the punishment is, because if he can't feel your power, then he's just going to hurt you. And he's going to do everything in his power to make you look horrible. And I think that's what makes Gervonta a force, to be reckoned with. And I give him all the credit in the world because Gervonta does everything right like any other champion would. And he has that really destructive, nightmarish grit, poker face mentality where if he gets hit, you don't even know if he's hurt. That's really the scary thing about Gervonta, because he does things in his power to make himself look dangerous and look, ferocious as he, performs. So I definitely give Gervonta, all the credit in the world for defeating Mario Barrios. It was just really disrespectful of how all these people were trying to dick ride Mario Barrios to try to act like he's going to be the great Mexican hope to defeat a undefeated, dangerous black American fighter in Gervonta Davis, knowing that Gervonta Davis has like a 95 or 97% knockout rate, and he is probably one of the most, defensive, methodical boxers of all time. And he just makes himself just so dangerous and deadly. And I give him like all the credibility in the world because he knows what he's doing in there. So it's not like Gervonta is a bad fighter. He's a very dangerous, deadly fighter. And like I said, southpaws are probably one of the most deadliest punchers in boxing. I'm a southpaw, and every time when I work on my skills, I keep that jab sharp. Because you never know when you meet a guy that's awkward, that gives you problems. When that jab hits him or hits her, it's game over. They can't come in front of you. They can't trade with you. They know that when that jab hits them, it's a game over. And that's what I love. That's what I love out of Gervonta, because he's such a deadly southpaw. And people say that, oh, Gervonta, he can't beat Josh Taylor, he can't beat Vasyl Lomachenko, he can't beat Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney. In which I love Devin Haney and I love Shakur Stevenson, so I'm going to ride and die for them. But I think the closest person to give him issues would be Abraham El Supernova and Devin Haney and Shakur. Those are Gervonta's toughest fights to date. But all these guys trying to say, oh, Regis Prograde could knock him out, Josh Taylor would knock him out, Terrence Crawford, all the Bud Dick Riders, would try to dick ride him to say, Bud Crawford would knock him out. They wouldn't even stand a chance against Gervonta to the level of how he fought. Gervonta would just get hit, probably lose a couple rounds, but then once he gets it going, once he unleashes his potential on you, and he transforms into a very ferocious, versatile southpaw, it's dude, he just knows how to pick you down. And it's honestly, Gervonta doesn't care, because when he sees you being vulnerable, he's going right towards you. If anything, he is as deadly as Mike Tyson being next to a mini version of Marvin Hagler. And that's how good he is, because he's a killer. Gervonta is a killer. And I think 140-pound division is where he should have started his career. But I personally understand why 130 and 135 pounds was not a good spot for him, because his power was still there. He was still knocking people out, but he gassed out because his body type was not built for that weight class. So I don't know if Tank could be able to mesh back well at the 135-pound division, which I'm pretty sure he can. I'm sure that Gervonta can, achieve that weight class once again. But if he wants to stay at a particular weight class, I think 140-pound division is good for him, because Gervonta is a killer. Gervonta will be ripping through every man in that division. And I think the only person that gives him a fight would be Gary Antoine Russell, Gary Russell, and probably Subriel Matias. That's it. I don't know if Kent Cruz could knock him out. I don't know if those guys could give him a fight. Maybe Abraham Supernova could definitely give him a fight and definitely give him, a challenge. But other than that, it is just not going to happen, because it's just that Gervonta, he knows how to rip people's lives away. And I think that's what makes him a very deadly opponent, because he doesn't care what you do. It's either you or it's him. And when have we ever seen Gervonta hurt? This man got a hell of a chin. He does not get hurt to the body. The only way you beat him is that you crack through his power and you outbreak him as he breaks you. And I personally believe that Gervonta is too dangerous when you trade in the inside. But to a boxing ability standard, he's pretty damn good at that too. So Gervonta has very few weaknesses other than, he probably trades unnecessary blows with people that he knows he doesn't need to trade with. But other than that, his defense is on point. His footwork is amazing. His athletic ability will always be there. Even when he's older, Gervonta is just going to literally beat the living crap out of everyone. I think honestly, the only people that would probably give him losses would be Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, and maybe Gary Russell. But I don't even think Gary Russell can beat him, because I think Gary Russell, he gets his ass whooped by Tank. And I don't hate Gary Russell. I'm pretty sure all the people that love Gary Russell and care about him would say, oh, nah, man, you're overlooking Gary Russell, blah, blah, blah. Gary Russell would murder Tank, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you guys believe in that, then let's see the fight. I think Gary Russell gets crushed, but if that is not true, let's see the fight. But you want to know one fight that I also like to see? I like to see Josh Taylor fight Tank. That seems more of a possible matchup to happen, because Josh Taylor is wanting to knock Tank out. And guess what? If Tank could get that fight with Taylor, it is going to be the best fight ever. And I guarantee you, Josh Taylor gets knocked the hell out. And I don't know if Taylor could handle him, because Josh does not know how to use proper defense against another southpaw. And Tank is a more deadlier southpaw than Taylor. Because when we look at the styles, The only way Taylor wins is that he uses his jab to keep Tank off of him. But guess what? That jab is not always going to be there because Tank is going to switch it up on him. He's going to switch those legs. He's going to switch that motion. He's going to get super slick. He's going to be lethal with that inside game. He's going to literally eliminate the advantages that Taylor has. And I guarantee you, Taylor, he's going to be psychologically broken, and it's not going to be a good night. I swear to God, it is not going to be a good night. But either way, I just don't know how this would even go down if that were to be Tank's next fight. But I hope Gervonta can get that call to say, hey, let's get it with Josh Taylor and Gervonta before Taylor moves up to 147. Okay, let's go. If Tank beats Josh Taylor, he is literally the greatest fighter of this generation. No fighter ever moves up to another division and challenges a undisputed world champion before he or she moves up to another division after they cleaned it up. Who does that? Nobody does that. That is insane in boxing. But I mean, Clarissa Shields, she's done that, and good for her. Well, I don't think she's faced another undisputed world champion, but no, she has gotten undisputed in 2 different divisions at 154 and 160. And if she could do it at 168, good for her, because she deserves everything. But I think either way, Gervonta is chasing greatness, and I think he's going to be a big threat for a lot of these guys that have been calling his name out, because all these new fighters at 140, or all these fighters at 140, like Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor, like I don't even know, man. Like who else? Josue Vargas, these guys are in trouble, and I kid you not, it is going to be a crazy road for Tank, and I don't ever see Tank ever really, losing to a lot of these guys. I think Gervonta has a lot of problems being a threat to all these possible opponents. And I think what Gervonta should do next is that he should either, one, try to get that Teofimo fight. If that can't fall through, then he could go after Josh Taylor. If Josh Taylor can give him that opportunity, because Gervonta is not really a mandatory. Which, no, actually, now that he has the WBA regular belt, he could probably go to the WBA and probably request that fight to be ordered if they can actually have Tank as a mandatory for Taylor, or Taylor, could possibly be offered to fight Tank. I think, honestly, if you're a regular champion and you want the super belt, you should order that fight to be a mandatory towards the super champion. That's my honest opinion, but that's why I think boxing should just be set to 1 belt per sanctioning body. And if you're a champion trying to unify with like another champion, you should force yourself to be a mandatory to that other champion, because it doesn't make any sense for the other champion to do keep away and then they're holding that belt forever and ever, and that's what's killing divisions. That's what's pissing people off. But I don't know if that's possible that people do that now, but either way, I definitely like to see that, because that would definitely make the sport a lot easier to get rid of all these ducks. And, the best are always fighting, the best all the time. But let's talk about the co-main event, and then I'm going to get up out of here. Erickson Lubin versus Mr. Jason Rosario. I thought this fight was really fun to watch. I actually did enjoy the fight. Erickson Lubin knocked out Jason Rosario. Brutal body shot. TKO stoppage. And it was a good fight. I thought the fight itself could have went either way. Rosario, he definitely did get hurt. And, Lubin, he got hurt on several occasions by Rosario. But it didn't seem like, Rosario really did his thing. He actually just, really just did a sloppy job using his punches, using his jab incorrectly. He obviously just needs like a new trainer, in terms of boxing IQ. and then he'll definitely be back on his tracks. I think just his trainer in general is not giving him the right instructions, and I think he needs to find just a better foundation of boxing to bring himself to the next level. Also, he needs to work on defense a lot. He needs to stop letting people hit him to the body, and he could definitely be on his way to being a bigger threat for 154, because I think that's what Jason, really wants to do. He wants to, get his belts back and become a threat once again, but you don't get there when you don't have any defense to get there, because many people think that's somehow possible to do, but last time I checked, all the champions in boxing or all the legendary greats in the sport had good defense, or a good number, good number of legends in boxing had good defensive IQ, and that's what wins you championships. That's my pure philosophy of how I see champions being made, in boxing. They're made obviously through, having good defensive ring IQ and using the right shots to keep yourself successful and motivated in the fight itself, so that way you can you can control your fight easier to make everything better off for you. But either way, it kind of just shows that there are so many things to be made for Gervonta Davis, but Erickson Lubin and Rosario have definitely given a really good fight. I think Erickson Lubin, he is definitely way better than he last was compared to the Jermell Charlo loss, because I personally believe that Lubin would be that type of fighter to give Charlo a lot more issues, but I could be wrong, because a lot of people say Lubin is still chinny, and I don't know. I think Lubin's chin could definitely be a lot more, strengthened or improved, because it's not like Lubin is a bad fighter. I think Lubin really gives Charlo a lot of issues to the body, but if Charlo does hit him at that same spot where Lubin got knocked out to the chin, then I think that will be a pretty easy night for Lubin to get knocked out, because Charlo will just favor those weaknesses, and then boom, he just keeps winning, about the fight, itself. But I would say what would be next for Lubin and Rosario is that I think Rosario, he should probably go about his way and fight maybe a guy like Sebastian Fundora. I think that would make a very, very good fight. Or if Lubin could fight Fundora, that would be a good fight as well. But if that can't be made, maybe Tim Tszyu. I think Tim Tszyu and Lubin could easily get that fight made. Knowing that Tim Tszyu, I don't think he's with any, ranking promotion or any promotion itself. But either way, it doesn't even matter to me, because it's just like it shouldn't be boxing politics that are preventing all these fights. The best should always be fighting the best every day. But I think Lubin is definitely on his way back to world title stage. It's not like Jermell Charlo cannot be beat by being outboxed. I think the blueprint to beating Jermell Charlo is get him off his rhythm and make himself uncomfortable with a jab, because I think the jab really harms him a lot when you're there first with your jab, and then Charlo can't do anything to you, because obviously Charlo, he's more of an inside brawler, so he doesn't really do much of anything. He can't really outbox you, which he can, but it's not like he's really gifted, in that school of boxing to make himself more of a threat for anybody that has boxing or pure boxing skills. So I think what really makes Lubin very good at what he does is that he has a very good boxing IQ, and he's definitely improved on his footwork, his defensive, reflexes, his reads. He has everything in the bag to actually hard counter Charlo, to what Tony Harrison did to Charlo in the first and second fight. Before Tony Harrison got knocked out, but in the first fight, Tony Harrison definitely gave Charlo a fight, and I personally thought Harrison, he won that fight. I didn't really see Charlo actually winning that fight because Tony Harrison nerfed Charlo's ability to get on the inside, and Charlo, he really wasn't able to do jack shit to Harrison because Harrison was keeping him at bay. So I think what Lubin needs to do is basically use the same blueprints that Harrison used on Charlo, and I think I think Lubin can easily defeat Charlo. But do I think Lubin can knock out Charlo? That I don't know. I think Lubin, if he really wants to knock out Charlo, it's gonna be a late round knockout victory. I don't ever see that being, I guess, the thing for Charlo. I think Charlo is just that type of fighter that makes that type of fight very rough and rugged. And I think the downfall for Lubin is just going to be getting hit with a really deadly shot and not being able to recover. Because Charlo, he's a very, how should I say? I want to say Charlo is a dirty inside fighter. He doesn't really care what the hell's going on in the inside. He just cares that he gets you, and then he keeps hard pressuring with jabs, with very hard power shots, and then that's what makes up the fight very dangerous. And I think what really makes that fight competitive is just simply who jabs harder and who gives each other a fight, a fight of their life. I would still favor, Charlo to beat Lubin if Lubin is careless on defense, but if Lubin outboxes, the living crap out of Jermell, I think Jermell could easily lose by decision. If not, probably get knocked out by Lubin, because it's obviously not, the same Erickson Lubin that Jermell Charlo will be facing. But if Lubin goes back to his old ways and gets psychologically pressured by Jermell Charlo, then that's going to be a really tough night for Erickson Lubin to hard counter Charlo to defeat him. But I don't know. I think Jermell Charlo would definitely fight Lubin in the future, or if he moves up to 160, then Lubin will easily become a world champion. But I don't think I don't think it'll be easy for him. He still has to fight a lot of other top guys like Fundora, Tim Tszyu, let's see, Israel Madrimov, who else? J-Rock. I mean, there's plenty of dangerous sharks that are wanting to get back onto the world title level, and I think Lubin would have a very tough fight with a crap load of guys that are in that division. Also, I heard Errol Spence and Danny Garcia are planning to move up to that division, if not Terrence Crawford. So, who knows if Terrence Crawford would move up to 154. I think he would most likely would, or he would stay at 147 if Errol Spence, decides to, move up to 154 after he defeats Manny Pacquiao, if he is successful. And he'll probably just stay there and just go for his little top rank, fiasco of going for undisputed, with the weakest links at 147, which, he's obviously probably not going to do that because he knows that there's going to be two killers up there by the name of Jaron Ennis and maybe Virgil Ortiz. And then I'll probably put Xander Sayas in there because Xander Sayas, he's definitely going to, elevate himself to the next, level to becoming a world title holder, if not a high-level contender. I think Zayas is definitely on his way to getting a world title. It's just, he just needs to be given the opportunity. But once that opportunity is given, and once he has his skills, developed to reach that level, it's game over. I think Zayas definitely beats the crap out of guys at 147, but I'm not going to, push those cards too much. Let Xander Zayas naturally develop. And I say give it like a couple years. He's gonna be killing people at 147. But either way, I think Lubin and Tank definitely did their thing. Everybody else on the card was decent. I didn't really care about that. I just cared more like about, like the fights itself and how it really played out. It definitely had like a good effect on where fighters in that division will proceed in the future, and I definitely give them a lot of respect for that. So, it was good either way to see that happen, and I was happy to see some good fights. Also, we did have Vasil Lomachenko and Nakatani, and I didn't really care about that fight. I mean, Nakatani unfortunately got knocked out, and Lomachenko did his usual Lomachenko things, where he out-jabbed him, make Nakatani look like an amateur, look very stupid in the ring, and then, boom, Lomachenko knocked him out unexpectedly. But I don't really care about that. This is mostly Tank and Barrios. But also, I think Barrios, he's definitely on his way to greatness too. It's not like Barrios is out in the woods. He's definitely a good fighter, and I think where he's gonna go in his career, he's gonna go bigger places. He's obviously on his way to a bigger level, and I think everybody at 140 is still going to be afraid of taking a Barrios fight, unless Barrios falls off and he's not the same fighter compared to what he was against Tank. But I think with him and Virgil Hunter, I don't think Virgil Hunter is going to make him discouraged. I think Virgil Hunter is going to give Barrios a good lesson of advice on how to come back. And a loss doesn't really define you. All the greats have great notable losses, and it doesn't matter because it's all part of what the sport, and it's all part of what the storyline to becoming a good legacy figured character in the sport. So I think Barrios is doing his thing, and I find it really absolutely crazy that people wanted Barrios to defeat Tank, so that way Tank could be used as like a laughing stock, where all these like racist assholes wanted to like basically demonize Gervonta for trying to be successful in his own legacy. But it was just really weird of how people wanted to make it seem like Tank wasn't that good of a fighter, but Barrios is going to somehow defeat him in devastating fashion. And I don't understand why all these decaps like to use fighters that are not well known to try to think that they could defeat a really dangerous coincidentalist fighter. And it's not like Mario Barrios is a hopeless fighter. He is a coincidental. Like, I would say he's a coincidentalist fighter, but he's not the type of fighter to be favored in a lot of fights. He is a huge underdog fighter. Similar to, like, I would say maybe like a Ryan Garcia, but he's definitely like a Leo Santa Cruz in a way. But either way, I love Mario Barrios. I definitely have good respects for the true Mexican boxing fighters that actually want to be successful. I don't really follow that many Mexican fighters, but Mario Barrios is one of my favorite fighters, where he definitely gives you a very good entertaining fight, and he doesn't care what the odds are. He just wants to go in there and prove his worth. So I hope Barrios does a much better performance in his next fight. Fuck all the haters and just move on, because honestly that loss does not really mean shit to him. A world title doesn't mean anything for you. It just matters of who you're facing in your big fights. That determines your greatness in your own legacy. But I think Barrios, he's going to evolve into a bigger threat down the line. And hey, who knows? Maybe him and Tank might fight once more. I think that would be awesome. I would actually like to see another rematch in the future. But thank you very much for anybody that's watching this video. Congrats to Gervonta Tank Davis. He did his thing. And thank you, Mario Barrios, for giving it your all. You are not a trash fighter. You are a very good world title level fighter, and I definitely can see the future rise pretty high for both of these guys. They definitely put on a show, and I can't wait to see more big fights in the future. But that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.